Welcome to video 5 for this unit on Introduction to Quadratic Functions. In this video, we're going to focus on graphing standard form. The graph representing any quadratic function is a shape called a parabola. People often say that a parabola opens upward when the lowest point on the graph is the vertex, which is where the graph changes directions, and opens downward when the highest point on the graph is the vertex. Each coefficient in a quadratic expression written in standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c, tells us something important about the graph that represents it. The graph of y equals x squared is a parabola opening upward with a vertex at 0, 0. Adding a constant term, 5, gives y equals x squared plus 5 and raises the graph by 5 units. Here is a table of values for x squared and x squared plus 5. It can help us see that adding 5 to x squared increases all the output values of y equals x squared by 5, which explains why the graph moves up 5 units. Subtracting 4 from x squared gives y equals x squared minus 4 and moves the graph 4 units down. Take a look at the values for x squared minus 4. Subtracting 4 from x squared decreases all the output values of y equals x squared by 4, which explains why the graph shifts down by 4 units. In general, the constant term of a quadratic expression in standard form influences the vertical position of the graph. An expression with no constant term, such as x squared, means that the constant term is 0, so the y-intercept of the graph is on the x-axis. It's not shifted up or down relative to the x-axis. The coefficient of the squared term in a quadratic function also tells us something about its graph. Here is a graph and table for y equals x squared. The coefficient of the squared term in y equals x squared is 1. Its graph is a parabola that opens upward. Multiplying x squared by a number greater than 1 makes the graph steeper, so the parabola is narrower than that representing x squared. Multiplying x squared by a number less than 1 but greater than 0 makes the graph less steep, so the parabola is wider than that representing x squared. Multiplying x squared by a number less than 0 makes the parabola open downward. Let's look more closely at y equals 2x squared and y equals negative 2x squared. If we compare the output values of y equals 2x squared and y equals negative 2x squared, we see that they are opposites, which suggests that one graph would be a reflection of the other across the x-axis. Let's say a tennis ball is hit straight up in the air, and its height in feet above the ground is modeled by the equation f of t equals 4 plus 12t minus 16t squared. Here is a graph that represents the function from the time the tennis ball was hit until the time it reached the ground. In the graph, we can see that the 4 in the equation means that the graph of the function intersects the vertical axis at 4. It shows that the tennis ball was 4 feet off the ground at t equals 0 when it was hit. The horizontal intercept is 1, 0. It tells us that the tennis ball hits the ground 1 second after it was hit. The vertex of the graph is at approximately 0.4, 6.3. This means that about 0.4 seconds after the ball was hit, it reached the maximum height of about 6.3 feet. The equation can be written in factored form as the quantity negative 16t minus 4 times the quantity t minus 1. From this form, we can see that the zeros of the function are t equals 1 and t equals negative 1/4. The 0 at negative 1/4 is not meaningful in this situation because the model only works after the ball is hit. Thank you for watching video 5 of 6 for this unit on Introduction to Quadratic Functions.